This is an emergency broadcast. Here in the early morning hours, the ancestors have blown your boy away today. Now, you guys know I'm always talking about Algonquin territory, Algonquin this, Algonquin that, Gonkin. Some people just call me Mr. Al. Last name Gonkin, Mr. Gonkin. I'm kidding. No, nobody has done that yet. Um, I hope you American Indians who are down for the truth are sitting down for the truth. You got to be sitting down to see this. I'm wondering why I haven't ever seen anything like this before. But when I tell you that America, I said it once and I said, boy, you talking crazy again to myself. Did you, it's like, why did I just say I think the whole America was Algonquin? Why did I say that? I want to show you and let me know if you've seen it before, because I sure have not. I want to show you the map that is blowing me away, but it's not just the map, y'all. This is what was claimed apparently in the Virginia grant with Mr. You know who, Mr. James, King James, they called him. Apparently, like 90% of North America, all of these states are just carved out of the grant that was granted for Virginia. So when I say to you literally that we were Algonquin, uh, let's just, again, I hope y'all are sitting down. I didn't even get to editing the map or nothing like that. Now let me just make sure because it looked like, no, that's not it. You're messing with me again. Okay, we ain't gonna share it yet. Apparently, I don't have my. Oh no, we is not. We ain't gonna mess this one up, yo. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Okay, so um, wh- where's my Zoom man? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Come on now, stop it. Stop. Okay, we're gonna share this, and again, it's not showing. Okay, how are we going to do this? Bear with me. Bear with me. It looks like I'm having some issue here, and I'm going to ask that the ancestors resolve it. Let's see. We're going to close that. How about that? Maybe that was it. Uh, okay. Okay, so maybe, hopefully, this has fixed my issue. I'm going to try this one more time. Just trying to get my screen up to show you, and somehow I have it. Okay, bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with us. Okay, what is going on here? Sure, why? Let's see. Uh, okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just be patient. And I'm saying that mostly for myself. Uh, oh boy. I'm looking at the map right now. I just can't get it on the screen, y'all. But we gonna do this. We gonna do this. Uh, map of the Virgin. Okay, so let's see. Can I do this? So, just all over the place here. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on. What's going on? But I'm working on it. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, we're going to print. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. We gonna come through for you. We gonna come through. I want to show you. Um, what's going on? Still not getting the whole thing here. The time here, y'all. Having a time. This is never. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. Don't know what was going on just now. Okay. Yeah, because I want to get the whole thing. Let's see. Okay. Trust me, it's going to be worth the wait, and I do apologize. You know, the enemies, spirits must be at play. Um, but look, I am happy, y'all. I'm happy because let me explain what's going on here. I'm having a conversation with one of the viewers of my video, and we're talking about just how were the Cherokee once Algonquin, and so I began to just find what I could uh, of that, you know, that information, and then I came across. Uh, so let's just see if we can work it a different way. Okay. Let's see. I am so sorry for the delay, but somehow I'm not seeing what I'm trying to see. So I'm wondering how I can work with this. So let me see. And I do thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, I think what the problem is I have too many windows open, too many tabs open. I want to see if this will help me. Let me see. Again, I do apologize for this serious delay. Here we go. I finally got it. I think I had too many windows open. So, ancestors, please let this be done the way it's supposed to be done. Um, okay. So, I think we'll go. Should I go here? I just took a screenshot, but here we go. So, maybe I can close this. You can see it there, but we're gonna close this. Uh-oh. No, so no, we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do that. Let's go back. Let's go back. My apologies, but it happened the way it happened, so we're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it. Because we done asked the ancestors, right? Okay, so that is actually the extent of Virginia, according to, let's see, and we're gonna have to look. But this is the clearest one I could find. Um, yeah, you just have to let your mind take it in. I'm still myself, as long as it took me to bring this up. Uh, but I'm finding a few of these, quite a number of uh, these maps, and this one was just so I was asking how big was Virginia, right? In 1609, the territory officially called Virginia was vast, granted to the London Company by King James the First, and spanning from present-day North Carolina coast, Cape Fear, up to the 40th parallel near Barnegat Bay, New Jersey. New Jersey. Uh, its legal boundaries extended inland to the Pacific Ocean and northwest, encompassing much of the present day United States and parts of Western Canada. Well, now we know they always put in Algonquins in Canada, so we can claim that already. And I'm wondering if it just didn't encompass Mexico as well. And they're just not really going to tell us, you know. Um, so let's read more. The scope of the 1609 grant. I'm sorry, folks. Was this worth the wait? I do apologize. I wanted it to happen the way I think it was going to happen, and this is how it happened, right? I had some difficulty because I had too many tabs open. That's why I couldn't see this map that I wanted to show you. But I think we're cooking now. Okay. The scope of the 1609 grant, Geographic Reach. The territory stretched across the entire continent of North America. Algonquins, are you listening? Was Chief Powhatan the chief for the whole damn America? You break off knockoff, but you see, you got to see where the Iroquois Confederacy is located and let your mind look at that and say to yourself, how was this little group a formidable enemy to the Algonquins? Do you mean the Algonquins allowed you to have that space? and rebel in the space you were in? Is that what you mean? So you were pissed off because you want to start a new Moorish based sect? Huh? Because look where the Iroquois Confederacy is located and tell me who is dominating all around them. Please, somebody, please. We're being gaslit again. Okay, that's called gaslighting. They're not even strategically placed to win a war. They are surrounded literally by Algonquins. Okay, so I don't know how or what fables the Iroquois are cooking up, but it's coming from the Moors in their family. I'll tell you that right now. It's coming from the Moors because they tell some big tall lies when it comes to this Iroquois and by extension the Cherokee. Now again, I'm not, you know, I'm not, this is not, because there's so many people identifying as Cherokee that you get the feeling that they're going to all say, I'm not watching this video. Please watch this video, please. I've been saying this, and maybe I didn't say it each and every time, but when Sister Sledge said we are family, they meant that. And so do I. We were Algonquin speakers. Do you see why now Algonquin was the primary language here? It's the oldest language. You see why even when Dane Calloway talks about the dictionary, you see how many languages went into that dictionary that were based on Algonquin, meaning that was Algonquin. Virginia is Algonquin. So when they say that Powhatan was the paramount chief, this is Powhatan's land. Would it not be? He's the only one that they really had to deal with. Now, this is what came up in our conversation. Why was he the only one? Even when you hear about the Iroquois, you don't hear about any specific chief. Now, y'all gonna have to tell me because I have not. You only hear about Powhatan. He is literally the man, okay? When it comes to dealing with these first Europeans that came here, they had to address Powhatan, no one else. Nobody from no Iroquois. Nobody from no Muskogee. Okay? So let's finish reading. It included 200 miles of coastline of North Comfort near present-day Hampton Roads, Virginia, and 200 miles south of it. Okay, that was a coastal extent. The inland extent, the grant also defined all the land lying from the seacoast of the precinct, up into the land throughout from sea to shining sea, y'all, west and northwest. The other thing we have to say is Britain done took our whole continent, y'all, trying to blame it on other people, y'all. They got like what? How much percentage of that is that's what King James got, y'all. You see this significance, and they can't. I think what it is you don't really hear about this because it is insane to be this dominated this vastly by one Negro named King James. Significance uh, of the 1609 grant. Clear title. This new grant for the London Company provided a clearer title to the land than the initial 1606 charter. Oh, yeah, it looks pretty clear. That's the whole freaking continent, basically. All encompassing. It was a substantial incentive for the stockholders to invest in the struggling venture. Vast legal territory. The grant placed most of the future United States and significant parts of Canada within the legal bounds of Virginia, y'all. Do you hear what we are saying today? Okay. Now look at this. This is another one. Now they're breaking it down for you. That was Virginia, y'all. I've heard people say he went to the Mississippi. You was lying to us. The Algonquins are being minimized, y'all. If this is Virginia, this is Algonquin. And then it just broke up the more colonizers that got all hungry and selling and buying and dealing and wheeling. And in the midst of this, who got the most genocided? Like I told you before, it was Algonquins. Why? Because this is our land, y'all. This, what you see on your screen, is Algonquin, and I'm going to go ahead and say I believe the whole damn United States is Algonquin. Why? Fuck. Why? At this point, shit. This is why Algonquins have to be minimized, y'all. We are, but they minimize us so bad that it's a genocide. There's minimizing and then there's genociding. That is too much land for Algonquins to be barely spoken of, y'all. They dealt with Powhatan. He is the only one that they are having to deal with. And from here is how we got broken up. Now I understand what Manifest Destiny was talking about. No one told who out there knew this. And if you did, why didn't you? I've never seen a video talking about this. And it's so funny that it's just a few clicks away and boom. Look at Virginia. You see why Virginia was so important to the colonizers? See? That was Virginia in 1609, y'all. It was actually legal. That's legally Virginia, according to colonizers' legal world. Oh my God. These are provinces. You see where West Virginia really was? It included California. Just look up Virginia Grant. And I've heard people talk about it. Look, Algonquins, are you ready to take your country back? Because this is yours, okay? Stop being all of them other things. Algonquin is the oldest linguistic. So all you other Indians, y'all too young to even speak. Your language is young. When you open your mouth, the first thing that comes out is "I'm a baby." Let Algonquin speak for you because that is truly your mother language. Come on, look at this damn map. Virginia grants from 1609. Uh, who knew this? Look how far up it's going, y'all. It's going down into Florida. That's why now I understand why they said that they believe that, or it's alleged. What did they say? Uh, like making it like it's not true. That Powhatan came from Florida. Do you see? Oh my God. This is what's being minimized. Algonquin. That um that's Virginia, y'all. Virginia grants. When they talk about Virginia, that's Virginia, the green area. I don't know why I'm convinced that's the whole damn continent. Mm. It's a, oh God. Look, it goes down here, Louisiana and all of that, right? It was in Mexico, y'all. Or part of Mexico, it looks like. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is worth the wait. I don't think I'm doing this video over. We gotta be patient with what the ancestors doing. Okay. Um, I like how this is a thing. I was looking up old Virginia maps. I wanted to frame three maps side by side. of how Virginia changed, but I found so many maps I couldn't decide. Leave out the problem areas of America. No New England and no South Florida. It's as close to a perfect Virginia, perfect Virginia one can get into. This is why we're hearing Indians say that we were family and all that. I've heard them say that, Powhatan, kind of got around. Oh gosh, I am very, I'm overwhelmed, y'all. Yeah, this is worth the wait. And I'm glad that the ancestors allowed me to show you this. I hope you're just as blown away as I am, and I hope now you might appreciate why Powhatan is the only named chief. He was a paramount chief, only one that King James was dealing with, right? There was no other because he was the one. Iroquois had just, again, this is not against females, not at all. We just got to get this right when we go to claim our land, okay? All of it is ours. Don't be fooled by that green because everything up above it and underneath it is still America, right? And America is still an American Indian landmass. All of it. I'm talking about South America, y'all. I was very pleased today to revisit where they are saying my people, even in my Caribbean family, but a lot of the Caribbean, we're from South America, y'all. We were the first thing called America. When Columbus came here, he did not come to what you're looking at. He went to South America, but it was just America. I'm sorry, not King. Columbus went to South America. And I do believe him going there is what caused the Caribbean populated by what they're calling Caribbeans. We were Arawak mostly. Well, it's a toss up between Arawak, Kalinago, and they're saying I've heard some things about Taino, so I'm not sure about Taino, but it looks like it's mainly those three, Kalinago, Arawak, and, you know, um, I think, you know, because what I'm trying to say is at first I thought it was just Barbados that was populated by South Americans, people that left South America, right? But it's looking like a number of Caribbean islands were being populated by people leaving or being taken from South America. Um, yeah. So why am I saying this? Because we are the first Americans. Now, when I said that before, I felt like it was a bit offensive. No, I'm not. But honestly, it is offensive hearing how some North Americans view the Caribbean. You're acting like we're not on the same landmass, and that's ridiculous. You got to understand that America at first was South America. That was the first thing, quote unquote, discovered by the Church of Rome. When you keep saying, when you keep hearing Columbus discovered America, it's not North America. He never came to North America. So we Caribbeans, we're going to stand on our ground. We're not going to be moved, no matter how intimidating the conversation gets. We were not British because we were colonized by British. There's a difference. But I see Yeah, yeah. So I guess I'm letting some steam off right now, y'all. Pardon. But I was thinking of conversations I was having, and at first the narrative was, and I said this before, oh, it was those British Caribbeans that uh, infiltrated and made and colonized us. Then that evolved to some North Americans were saying, see, it's okay when they are Britain. That's what I'm trying to say. The critique of the West Indies was, oh, they were down with Britain. They are British. They blah 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 blah. And so that was a critique. But then some new fandango narrative coming from Moors, no doubt, and Indians who believe them, is that, well, no, North Americans are the British. See, it's okay when North Americans are seen as British. That's all right, right? And it's all good what they did to us. That's because it was not because we North American Indians are actually British. That was a narrative that was being given to Indians on certain platforms. But when that is applied to Caribbeans, oh, that was no, they just like them damn they England, they the ones that colonized us. But then when they see when North America didn't see themselves as Britain, which is crazy. It's both of them is crazy. None of us are British. Britain is too young, okay? Let's get this clear. Let's get something clear. Spain predates Britain. We know this, right? That's why it was Columbus, not King James, who came here first. There was Portugal and Spain before Britain. So we know Britain, as Anna says, is at the bottom of every blank hill, right? But when you when you're too young, you're too young. Okay, you can't be blamed for everything. So I was asserting in I think an earlier video, the reason I suspect that England and the UK was given I want to say they were seen as the premier nobility in all of Europe, right? And I believe that's because they were the first to have the lightest skin with the Anglo-Saxons. That is what, and I mistakenly said, attributed that to who the, it wasn't, wait a minute, who said? Yeah, I said it was Ben Franklin. I think he did say something about it, but really who said it? It was Lee Cummings in his Negro Question series. He's asserting and I tend to believe him on this, that it was the Anglo-Saxons that were considered quote unquote white, albion, albino on. Okay. So that's why the Church of Rome, which was originally a bunch of Negroes, those priests, those are the priests that hate Americans. Clearly, right? Y'all know that, right? I said it before, but do you understand what I mean when I say these priests they have a vendetta against us? For real, for real. They made us sinners of the entire world, okay? Because they're saying we were not Christian, and that's why they came here. So basically that what that translates to is all Americans are sinners. And a lot of these religions, not a lot, but I would say a faction of the Abrahamic religion. I'm not going to say which one, but it's not the one you think. They still see us as very much as, shall we say, infidels. This is coming from your Moors, y'all. The Moors created the Abrahamic religion. The hate is not coming from Caucasian Judeo-Christians. It might have transferred to some of them. It originated with Black Moors who were seen as priests the farther back you go. So it's the priesthood that condemned all Americans so that what? They can steal our land. It was not about bringing us to any Christ. And I do believe, I'm saying, I do mean any Christ. This was about the priest coming back with a vengeance. After having been expelled, this expelling was a real thing. They were banished. That you gotta, when I say that, you gotta understand the expelling was serious enough for them to want to come back and genocide at least 97% of North Americans. This is in their book, Yakub. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this to show you that the expelling was real because that's the level of vendetta and vindictiveness that's being heaped on us. We didn't expect them to come back, right? They were to never come back. These Negroes, these priests, they were never to come back, and their followers, because they needed their followers. So when they come back, what they have to do is take away our right to expel them again. They convince the world that they are actually righteous. What they're not showing the world is that they're nursing a vendetta. And it has to do with blood sacrifice. They call us cannibal, body eating, blood drinking. And then they make a religion where they ritualize eating flesh and drinking blood. But they manage to create a religion that suggests that someone has to die for someone else to be saved. And guess who they have sitting on the chopping block, the sacrifice block? Need I tell you again who it is? Every American, South, North, Caribbean, Canadian, so-called. That's who's on the chopping block. Why? Because we're the new world. The old world is good because that's where the priest was. So they mostly good because the idea is they had access to the real religion, whereas we, ocean away. Oh no, those is heathen over there. We did if so they're lying, saying that they know nothing about us, but yet we're the focus of their hate. We are the focus of their vengeance. I like to say that I finally figured out that the Osarian religion, now y'all know for a while I was really batting for the Osarian religion. In fact, my name, Heru, that is from an Osarian tradition. Heru is the son of Osar. But the reason why I chose to rock with this deity, first of all, is the most ancient uh, Christ figure that you'll get. Don't fall for the Sumerian ones. They came after. Because they're going to try to say, oh, Samaria was older than time. No, no, it wasn't. Circa 2900 BC is no match for circa 3400 BC. 3400 BC predates 2900 BC when the first Sumerians and Mayans appear on Earth. So all of their deities of the Sumerian Mayan ages are based on Tamarian deities of the 3400 BC time frame. So the reason why I tapped into hero energy, Heru energy, is because although he was a creation of the priest, that's back before they got their show scripted the way it needed to be scripted. But back then, Heru was a Christ figure, but he was a Christ figure that lost his seat on the throne, his father's and mother's throne. So he had to fight a Satan to get his seat back, to get his birthright back. I say this story all the time in some way, shape, or form when I talk about it. Heru was the son of the king of Tamari. He was in line to inherit America as they knew it back then, which was in South America. It was South America. This is the mythology of Heru, but I do believe it's roughly based on something that actually happened. So Heru was a young king when actually he wasn't even born when his father Osar was murdered by the Satan, which was the father's brother, who envied his brother's kingship. So Osar was obviously a firstborn. His brother Set is a secondborn. What the priests are obsessed with are heirs. They're obsessed with heirship. Who will the heir be? So they created these myths, and I think initially they were fairly okay. You could rock with it because the winner did win. The one who should have won in this myth did win, which was Heru. Peru is named after Heru. Again, this all took place in South America. The myth was born there, and I believe the rough reality of the myth started there as well. Of course, it would have. So again, this was something. This was obviously a myth of the people, and the priest slowly started to manipulate the myth. Is how I would have to see it now, because I'm wondering why did it end up ending like it should? And again, it ended like it should with Heru fighting for his throne, but all the deities agreeing that he should get it. Now, his uncle, which was the brother of the king, is the one who he what do you call it when you crave something and you covet something. So the uncle coveted the power for the sake of having power. So in the myth, the uncle is basically his argument is Heru is too young to take the throne. I am going to take the throne in his father's place. So this Set character gets to be on the throne, but Heru is growing up, and it's time for him to take his throne back. The priesthood basically are a Setian. They are they are a set priesthood. And what they're saying is they feel entitled to rule because the people are young. Notice in in United States laws, the United States take the role of a guardian over Americans. They're just like in the myth, they're claiming that we're well, one of the claims is that we're just like children that need a guardian because the priest's been around forever, right? So they feel like they know better. They do know the history. In actuality, they do. But the problem is they're hoarding it. The Moors call themselves custodians. They are hoarding history and manipulating narratives so that they can stay somewhat relevant. Because in actuality, we do not need a priesthood. And this is the fight of a priest's life to make himself relevant in a world where every man and woman already has what they are calling Christ within them. The priest got very used to the luxury life, although they claim they vow poverty and all of that. No, no, you don't. It's far from the truth. You, in fact, see yourselves as a level of nobility. So your vow was that you would not work and that every man and woman on the planet would work for you. So your vow of poverty, what it must be, is a vow to make sure that the men and the women of the world are in poverty as they serve you. You see yourself as a vicar of God? No, we don't need a vicar. Professions that, if it were legitimately interested in the welfare of men and women, it would be probably one of the most noble fields of work. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. It is like a myth to think that a man who is used to being fawned over, catered to, because it's a level of nobility, and seen as having more uh, Christ in do, and see himself actually got to where they have people calling them father. No, you've overstepped your bounds. My father would never do what even less than a minute of what you do to the world with your deception, withholding of knowledge. A real father wants to share knowledge. A priesthood is keeping as much as he can to manipulate you and your mind. They are so revealed in this age. We got to think of what other occupations are available for priests who need to probably think about permanent retirement. In their book, they say that it will be an Aboriginal man who comes up against who they have reared up to genocide the quote unquote Aboriginal men of America. They said it's gonna, yeah, because they know that we're the ones they're coming for. So of course, it's going to have to be one of us who figure out how to slay this beast because he's coming for us, y'all. I'm talking about indigenous American men because they need the indigenous females so that can be quote unquote American. But who's standing in the way? Who's always in the way? Even in the myth, the king was in the way of the ambitions of these priests. And what happened to that king? He was murdered. What's happening to American males? Slow and sure genocide. 97% to the tune of 97%, y'all. Now, in that number, we have to presume they're talking about men, males. They ain't trying to kill off the females. Again, that's how they're going to become American. So when they say they got in their book of Yaqub, Secretarius 81 or 82, one of those pages, when they talk about bringing 97% of American quote unquote Negroes, this is written in their book, y'all. I'm not adding that. I'm not supposing that it's Americans. They said it verbatim. American Negroes, not African, American Negroes, 97%. They do say a third of all other Negroes on earth. That must be the Americans that they kidnapped from America. That's the third of all other Negroes on the planet. Because as you know, they took us everywhere, right? So we have to presume, and rightfully so, that they're not trying to do that to the females. That's why the Iroquois Confederacy is matrilineal. In a nation where you are trying to preserve your progeny, I think it's safe to say that you don't really want just a matriarchy because that is the entry point of any colonizer. If you have an equally strong patrilineal side, that won't happen as easily. Because why? The males are going to be American and they're not, they're going to be making the babies, not some foreign. So the baby's going to be a full blood. But as we should know by now, it's not even about blood. The Moors are very well about it is about blood. Let me say this as best I can. Yes, it is about blood. It's initially all about blood. Yes, it is. But what happens is you can look at the movement of your colonizer. So more, even more important than blood is your story. That is what that's what colonizer is removing. He's taking away your history. Your blood, okay. But when you don't know who you are, what good is your blood? You have to know mentally who you are. What is colonizer attacking? Our memory of ourselves. What did the ancestors do that colonizer can do nothing about except create some inoculations that deal with genetics? That's the best. Your ancestors came right up in your DNA. Something happened with that Jupiter Saturn conjunction that happened, I believe it was 2021 or 2020. Remember when they said Negroes would become superhuman after this conjunction? Huh? They weren't lying. What they meant was your genetic memory is going to suddenly reappear. So, next to blood, what's the most important thing about a people? It is their memory of who they are. But that memory is in their DNA. So, in a way, the blood is still actually important because where's the DNA? Is that in the blood? Do you see why there are vampires and cannibals? They are replacing you. After a vampire drains your life force, your memory, your DNA, drinks it to make it somehow part of his own, you die and the vampire lives, a living dead. Dead why? Because he is not you. But ends on your death. So he's living on your death, living dead. But you have to die. And that's why we ought to start rejecting any sacrifice system. You heard me correctly. You heard me correctly. If you think your only access to the most highs is by someone else dying, you have an incorrect, misguided notion of what creator is and what creator does. You don't create life just so some other life takes it to live. You already have what you need to live. You don't need to take anybody's life, and no one can die for your sins. Somebody had to say it. Do you realize they talk about judgment even though they say someone died for you? So you're still going to be judged? That don't even make sense, do it? If someone died for you, you need to go straight to heaven. Oh, you don't like when I say that? You like being a sinner? You prefer to be a sinner? Well, I don't because I'm not. Again, the priesthood makes you sin so that they can begin to genocide you much easier. You're so much more willing to die when you think that you're God's most dirtiest, filthy little whatever. And then they want you to be like a savior. What does that mean? That means dying. It's a death cult. That's what it's a. It's a blood drinking, flesh eating death cult. And in the myth of Osar, there began the death. Someone has to die so that someone else can be elevated to their position. Point blank, period. End of story. You don't want that. A firstborn is a firstborn. There's nothing you can do to make that firstborn a secondborn unless you're going to flip out into some kind of psychedelic, misguided, retarded extreme. Even if you could make a firstborn second, they're still known as a firstborn. You had to do something, and that something is usually malicious and of the wicked sort. I guess murder is the height of what you can do to displace that person. And again, that's basically what they're telling us they intended to do, or they intended the man that they brought here to do for them, which was genocide 97% of American Negroes, males in particular. So how did a map lead to all of this, right, y'all? Because I'm just seeing, y'all. I'm just seeing the reality of what was on my heart and the clues that I was getting, that a lot of us were getting, but no one went this far. I don't recall anybody showing me a map like this, y'all. I've seen a lot of maps. I've never seen this. So, um, so this is how I found it. I Googled how big was Virginia in 1609, and my mind began to be blown. That is legally Virginia, y'all. You got to understand. Yeah, I'm trying to show you that this is legal. And they go by law, especially when it favors them. Well, let me rephrase that. They go by commerce, laws of commerce, because it always favors them. This kind of thing is commerce, right? Because it's the Virginia company. Yeah. The London. Okay, let's read this again. In 1609, the territory officially called Virginia was vast. Oh my God. So they've been tricking us the whole time, y'all. They knew that they still, in other words, this is what they were gunning for. They just never told us. This is what they saw as Virginia. Can you believe this? Do you see why they wouldn't tell us this, y'all? Do you see why this would not be really, again, it tells us about the Virginia of Powhatan and why we only hear about a story of a Pocahontas, who they are calling Pocahontas. Uh, I say that because it's been said that it's actually the mother's name was Pocahontas, not the daughter. But I haven't looked into that yet. So, but for the public, Pocahontas is the daughter of Powhatan. But do you see why they have to ritualize that story? This is the land of Pocahontas. That's the way we need to say this. This is the land of Pocahontas. This is Powhatan. And look at West Virginia, y'all. Look at where West Virginia is all. I, this is going even into now I think I understand. I used to think that Anna von Reitz, yes, that's a name you will hear me talk about a lot. She lives in Alaska. And I often wondered what is her connection to the 13 colonies? You know, or the East. I always thought we always led to believe it's only East, right? East Woodland, right? But if this is Virginia legally, this is what King James was thinking of, y'all. You were led to believe that Virginia was just over here. Oh my God, y'all, this is what Heru looked like when his mind is blown. This is what he sounded like. I gotta breathe, y'all. I gotta breathe. When I tell you we're all Algonquin, this is what ancestors was going to reveal to us with a map like this. Ain't nobody trying to talk about this map because it has high implications for Algonquins. It tells you that Iroquois were I thought Cherokee was the only. I can't even speak, yo. I can't even speak. And I'm sorry, this video is going to go out just like this because even though we had a time lapse or waste, this is going out just like this. This is first reaction. You're going to get what you get. Um, but remember, Haru showed you this, okay? I've never seen this, y'all. And I'm not trying to be arrogant about this, but you don't know how grateful I am to the ancestors right now. You just give your thanks to the ancestors, okay? I'll put you that way. I'm trying to humble myself because I cannot believe what I'm looking at. I cannot believe I even found this. It was given to me. And that's why I'm saying thank you, ancestors. This is the Virginia that King James knew. I don't know what you heard. And then they end up pushing the original people of this land, Algonquins, up into Canada. When I tell you we were not Canadian, now this map might show you what I'm talking about. Remember when I said they always trying to make it look like Algonquins started in Canada? No, you're removing us. Talk about Indian removal. You're pushing us up there. This map is just blowing me away. Look at West Virginia, y'all. Could it be that this was? Look at me. I still can't believe it. Could it be? It is. Look at the map, Haru. Look at the map. Have we all Algonquin speaking? Yes. Again, you have to remember what Dane said about the dictionary. They had 26 Algonquin languages. This is why. This is why the dictionary is based on, when you hear them say it's based on Indian languages, this is why, because and that language, that primary language, that initial language was Algonquin. Should rename America Algonquia. What do you think? It would be accurate. Again, if this is Virginia, that's why all that wheeling and dealing took place with Powhatan. This was Powhatan's land, y'all. Virginia, the first Virginia. Apparently, this was in King James' world. This was a corporation, of course. In our world, it was Algonquin and it was Powhatan. That's why they ritualize and worship the story of Pocahontas. When you wonder why did they choose that story, why don't they talk about Iroquois queens and princesses? Because Iroquois, the word Iroquois is Algonquin. Come on, somebody. Because because we were Algonquin. If you had any doubts, I hope this helps. I didn't even think I was going to come across this, but someone again, this was born of a conversation I was having with someone in the comments. Uh, say their name, but I just don't know if they want to be on blast like that, you know. But thank you. That conversation led to this video because I began to wonder, well, how is how is Algonquin the original language, the most prevalent, and why is Algonquin so spread out? Now we know why there was Algonquins on the west side of Mississippi, and this makes sense to me. This everything you see in America is a break off of Algonquin. I'm sorry, that's the best way to say it. It's not a diss. It's just saying this is who we were and are. The colonizer has to break you up to divide and conquer. So Virginia was divided. It was divided into what they're calling the United States again. All of Canada was still America. So, but I'm guessing in 1609, Canada was colonized because this is a 1609. Federal Republic of West Virginia and the Commonwealth of Virginia. Okay, so West Virginia was a republic, and all the rest of this Virginia. Do y'all believe this? I'm talking and I feel like I'm in a dream because the implications of this, it's like there's little bombs going off all in my head, in my body. This changes the game, y'all. This is what ancestors was preparing for us, y'all. This is the cherry on our cake. I think we should call America Algonquia because that is our language. Most of America is Algonquin. And it's only not Algonquin because it was colonized, because the Spanish had Mexico. Of course, they're going to change it to something else. And what is the French that had Canada? So they're going to act like it was something else, but it was all ours. Um, West Virginia. We look where the real West Virginia is, y'all. And this is what I mean. There was no North Carolina. This is what I was getting at. There was no other states. All the other states are break off of Algonquin land. This is the implication of this map. So we people as calling ourselves North Carolinian, like I believed I was, you're Virginian. It makes more sense to me. Thinking of the mind of King James, this Virginia makes more sense. The other one is foolishness. You think a king like that? He was a Byzantine king. And Byzantine kings, I learned from who I forgot. I gotta look it up again. Ah, Lee Cummings. Lee Cummings. He did say that. Give credit where it's due. Byzantine kings were about world domination, not state domination, not country domination, continent domination, leading to world domination. King James and his family, his sons and grandsons, these were Byzantine kings. Byzantine kings were also those Russian ones, is what I recall. So he's basically kind of that ilk. This is something that Lee Cummings has asserted in his Negro Questions series. But again, someone like Lee Cummings, he's highly influenced by Moors. So the Moors, you got to look at them as a parasite on your body that they are sucking off of you. Okay. And the more they suck off of you, the less of you are, and the more of you they are. And so they living off your life blood, but they're going to change your story so that they pull you to an out of Africa type of world. You see, that's the goal. So after he sucks the life out of you, he puts you in Africa and he ends up in the land that you were on because he's basically you now. This is what a Moor is, a parasite. It's a very confusing uh, narrative because although they claim to be anti-black because it's a status, they say that more it means it is the color of your skin. More means black. That's what. But more is a multi-purpose word. And if you're a person who has integrity, the more integrity you have, the least likely you're going to want to go with multi-purpose words because it wouldn't be in line with your direct. and the need that you would have to be perfectly clear and concise. So I know that Moors are full of shit because they're relying on multi-purpose words so that they can grab. I'm telling you what you are. This is not uh to say that uh you should be dealt with in any unjust way. This is to tell you the part of you that you don't see as a Moor. You're too busy thinking about the grandeur of being a Moor. And I'm telling you, as an American Indian, I don't see that. You do because you think you're a conqueror, but you are a liar. You conquer through lies. Someone has to tell you because you are so steeped in lies that you don't even know you're lying anymore. You want to tell yourself that there's good Moors. Where are they? I've answered that question. Good Moors stay in Morocco. That's a good Moor. Not only does he stay in Morocco, all of his business is strictly about Morocco. And when he does go to do business, guess what? A good Moor doesn't try to steal your identity. He pays you what you charge. He agrees to what you charge for your goods or services. There are no good Moors, just delusional ones. Shouldn't even have to be talking about you here in America. I shouldn't know about you, just like I don't know about a lot about Africa. I shouldn't know about you. But why do I know about you more? Why? Because of your big mouth, right? I wouldn't want to talk about a bunch of thieves all the goddamn time. The only reason why I know about you because you always blabbing. You need to go blab that bullshit over in Africa because you're telling us a different story than you're telling them. The what do you call it? The Muslims over there, they have no idea of the crap you're filling American Indians' heads with your compromise. See, again, multi-purpose words leads to a religion with multi-narratives. Them Muslims in Africa, they're not hearing anything about American, except perhaps that we're infidels. Again, a result of more. So they pit you against each other. They tell one group of people one story, and they so much as said so in the book of Yaqub. They said at a different time, one people gets one, I believe they say one group of people get that narrative or that part of scripture, and other people get that part of scripture. And then the more sit back and watch you try to kill each other. I shouldn't be talking about you more, but the only reason why I have to is because you think you're me. It's not the other way around. I would not even know about you, and I shouldn't know about you. I should know how much land Powhatan had. That's what I should know, but I don't know that, do I, More? Why? Why don't I know that more? Because I'm busy hearing from your Iroquois and your five civilized tribes. Look where the five civilized tribes land is on. Yo, I've been saying it, and it's almost like I would say it. I know it, but I couldn't find it. I found it, y'all. I told y'all the last few videos, if I didn't say it overtly, I was practically saying that the five civilized tribes are on Algonquin land. That's the only thing that makes sense because that's why they're called civilized. If they weren't civilized, they wouldn't be called by the five civilized tribes' names. They'd be called Algonquians, like they are. So to take back America, you're looking at her there. That's most of her. We want all of her, though, right? Yeah. You're going to have to be uncivilized because you civilized Indians, you're considered property. You got to give it up. Nothing you've done is civilized, particularly how you turn on uncivilized because they weren't Christian enough for you. And I want to say something here, and I think I said it before. I'm going to say it again. When you hear me talking about the Christians or the Moors in your family, I speak from experience. As a young boy, I and my cousin, we were as close as cousins can be. We made each other's world because we were each other's world. I won't say her name. Um, but even if I do, you wouldn't know her anyway, so I could say her name. But was when she became Christian that she sought to basically cut me off. And I might be saying it in a way that she would not agree, but that's how I felt, cut off. A religion came and took two children, couldn't be more in love with each other as cousins, couldn't be more just infatuated with each other in a non-pedo way, I'm gonna add. Just that someone who you're both experiencing the world at the same time in your life. Uh, a religion came and I lost all of that as adults. Yes, we are adults, but the thing is, as an adult, you have the memory and think, and you say to yourself, this is not the person that I knew. And I loved, and although I still love, I can't the way I used to because of indoctrination. So when I tell you to stop listening to the Moors in your family, I speak from experience. Judeo-Christian is Moorish. Judeo-Christian Abrahamic religion is Moorish. Now, this is not an attack on Caucasian uh, uh, Hebrews because this is not what they designed. They like we all are. We learn from the church. Who was the church? It was the Church of Rome. A lot of people don't even realize that. That is the church. Originally, that introduced Judeo-Christendom. It came through the Church of Rome. What it is, though, in the rollout, now see, this is where it gets tricky, y'all. I want you to try to follow me, if you can, please. Their rollout was odd because although it's Judeo-Christian, they start out with Jesus, not Abraham. Okay? I'm talking about the Church of Rome, which is the mother church. So the rollout, just like with the rollout of Negro colored and African, the rollout was wrong. We should have been called African first and then gotten the other misnomer. That did not happen. That did not happen. We showed you the laws of Virginia, right? Where they are defining a colored and an Indian, which is one and the same. Do not be fooled. But in the Virginia laws, because look at Virginia, because the Commonwealth, yeah, we would have been in the what they calling the Commonwealth of Virginia. I guess that's why some people believe we should be under common law. No, I'm sorry. With all respect, no. We don't need anything that came from a foreigner. And when you get real with yourself, you're gonna realize you got a lot of tossing, discarding to do. A lot. But don't worry. After you've done that, it will be like you were reborn. You will have all the vitality you need to start anew. It's not going to weaken you, it's going to strengthen you when you get rid of everything that colonizer brought here. But so the rollout was wrong. So just like the rollout of our misnomers was wrong and legally, we're talking legally here. Look at the map. That's legal. Legally, a colored is not African when it should have been. If you're saying that I'm a descendant of African, but you don't have an African list named in you don't even name the country that the African came from. That's how foul this is. You would have to be so specific, right, Moors? You would have to be so specific that you'd have to name the African country that these oh yeah, that's right. They hijacked them from a Portuguese ship. That's how they get out of that, y'all. That crafted story, what I believe is there's craftiness in it. The reason why they have to get their quote unquote 20 some odd slaves from a Portuguese ship is because they don't want to say that they took them from any specific country. But what we would have to do is say, well, where did that Portuguese ship dock at in Africa? What country was it? But do they name the Portuguese boat that they got these it was only 20, so it couldn't have been a big boat, right? And that was what, in 1609? Okay, so in 1609, y'all didn't have a boat big enough for all them slaves you be showing us? Huh? So that we didn't come from wait, we came from a Portuguese ship is the best we can do because we can't be too sure when the Moors lie. I told you they lie. Uh, they have. Why is it their lie? Because they're the ones that's trying to make you African, just like they always do. What are Moors doing? So of course they're going to create a story that you were on a boat, not a ship. They're so small that was only 19 of you. Uh, from Africa. Okay, so let's get back to the rollout. The rollout is wrong. The rollout is wrong. In Virginia laws, they should have just named the country that or whatever African country. The Ghanaians that yeah, the colored are the 20 some odd Ghanaians. They derive from the 20 some odd Ghanaian whatever as an example, y'all. As an example, Malians, because that's the other place that Moors love to say that we're from or whatever, even though they were only in love with North America. I guess, see, they got their rollout wrong too, because Mali, wait, is Mali older? No, Mali is young too. I'm trying to get at something here because the Moors are in love with North America. Now they want all of, I'm sorry, they're in love with North Africa. They want all of our America, but they only want a little piece of Africa that's nearest to the Europe. So you don't claim all of Africa, and although you're from Africa, you're claiming all of America. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. Moor, speaking of definitions, was described as North African Berbers, not African Berbers, North African Berbers. So they're very clear when they want to tell you about themselves. Well, not well. Let me. Depends. But with us, they don't. They never. I've never seen this map. Okay, and so the rollout was wrong. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. The rollout. Look at. I'm literally all over the place. Look how big my tribe was. I'm all over the map, y'all. Rollout was wrong, and there's a reason why the rollout was wrong. Okay, so the Catholic Church should have been telling us about the origins of how do I say this? They should have been focused more on Jesus' daddy, or Jesus' daddy, and where they're not. When the church starts, it's all about Jesus. And again, there's a reason for that. So you could say that Jesus did not start out Abrahamic. That's what I'm trying to get at, y'all. Although he is Abrahamic, the rollout was all about him. But how could that be? Right? So they built him backwards. They started with him and then created backward. They didn't create forward. They didn't deal with his origins. He came and then they created his origin. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. And why was I saying that? Just to show that Moors, although they're Judeo-Christian, they should be Christian Judaic because the way they rolled out the story of Jesus, they don't talk really. It's Christians before. I believe that. I know we go into them deep waters, but I want to say the reason for that is because the most ancient Christ or Christ figure would be Heru. Peru did not have Judeo-Christian origins. So that's why they take the deity that they need, which is Heru, but they reinvent him and suddenly his parents are not his parents anymore. So this is also why you'll find there's something with children going on in this cult, this priesthood cult. The children are very extremely important. And that's why you have to take extra care of your babies. Guard your babies. Physically, mentally, spiritually. And I don't mean Christian. Let it be more instinctive than that. But the priesthood are out for your children because when they say the child is the future, it's their future if they get them. So they took the child from the original Trinity, but cut out the parents so that they could reinvent the child, change his nationality, identity, religion, all of that. So in the original Trinity, we know of the father, Osar, and the mother, they call her Isis. Her most famous name is Isis. Father's name is not as famous, but it's Osiris. In Greek, they say it's Osiris and Isis in the Greek. In original, it was Osar and Oset. Their child is Heru, or they call him Horus in Greek. So the priesthood could not talk about the mother and father because you would know where the mother and father is from, just like they doing with American Indians. They're supplanting the child, and that's how you supplant the people. So you take the important air. You got to get that air, y'all. You got to get the air because you're going to take the inheritance. To take the inheritance, you got to take the air. Kill off the parents, whether ritualistically or in actuality, namely the father, because the child gonna get a new daddy, and that's what Heru got. The mythical figure known as Heru got a new daddy named Yahweh, and his original daddy was Osai. But even his original daddy was killed. The original daddy had to be killed, but the new daddy lives on forever, ever, ever. Amen. Right? So the child is taken, and the church builds from him, but gives him a new family because they're going Judeo-Christian now, or Christian Judeo. So now they got the precious thing, the heir. And it's just a matter of giving him the family that he needs. Sort of like what happened to Pocahontas. Remove her daddy. He was the biggest thing in Virginia. Look at Virginia. He's the biggest thing. He's the paramount chief. Now I see that this map put the para in paramount. Okay. Now I see why he was a big deal. Okay. Oh boy. Here I am trying to eke out Algonquin land. And the ancestors just like they got a big shovel and said, let us help you find the Algonquins. Boom! There it is. You're looking at it. There it is, y'all. This is legal. I have to keep reminding myself, when you look at this, don't you feel like I feel right now? This cannot be true, but it is. Where's the fakeness? They saying this is legal, y'all. We just read that blurb. Let's see. Okay. Oh, there it is, y'all. I'm sorry. We have to keep refresh, just like with the computer. Refresh, refresh. Oh, this is oh gosh. That's why everything, oh gosh, I can't, I see the 13 colony thing now, it's confusing me. You know what it was? He didn't have enough people to fill up his Virginia. But he had enough for 13 colonies, apparently. And then over time, that's where the manifest destinies come. Little did we know the manifest destiny was legal in their world. I thought it was something they made up. Kept saying, well, the Constitution didn't say you had manifest destiny. No, King James did. Because this belonged to King James. The London Company by King James first, spanning from present day North Carolina. Wait, that was the wait, what? Present day North Carolina. It's bigger than North Carolina. Uh, pre- why would they? Why would they say North Carolina when it's spanning from present-day North Carolina? Oh, wait a minute. See, this is map is slightly different. I think the other map shows something different. It goes a little lower. Yeah, you see this? So in 16, okay, so this map is slightly different, y'all, because this map takes you lower. 1609. Okay, so this map, I just wait a minute. What? Don't tell me you just wiped the internet just now while I'm looking. Don't do that to me. They done see it. Okay, this map. Why, show me this map. Okay, so wait, maybe I have to. Well, are you taking it off now? Would you done moved it already? Oh, please stop lying. Oh, please. Wait, okay, so that's in 1783. Virginia got smaller. See, this was the Beaver Wars, y'all. When I tell you the Beaver Wars was the Algonquins lost, this I think this is reflective of that time. This, look at see Virginia. Oh my God. Oh boy, y'all. Algonquins, wake up, please. Y'all can't just leave me out here by myself like this. When y'all the biggest thing in America, you can't just have me doing all this talking. This is 1665, so Virginia's getting smaller and smaller. Right now, we got Carolina. You see what I'm saying? I remember the map I showed you, and I said Cherokee used to be in Algonquin. Now I see how that was possible. Not only Cherokee, basically every damn tribe in America. Oh boy. Oh boy. Look, 1760. Ooh. 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 Oh boy. Okay. Okay. So that look kind of big too, y'all. That's 1763. So Virginia is getting smaller because they're selling off land. I see. Oh, my God. Ooh. Well, oh boy. Well, that's the more normal Virginia. We want to go back to this. Now y'all stop playing with me. Okay, so now I want the map that we were just looking at, but I did take a copy. Never worry, never fear. I took a screenshot of that, y'all. What? Look at this one. What if Virginia kept its original claim? What? There you go. This the one I'm looking for. See this. Oh my God, I can't, y'all. What if Virginia kept its original claims? That's if Virginia kept it. See, that's actually bigger than this one down here, is what I'm trying to show you. Because I'm like, wait a minute now. So it got smaller and smaller over time. Um, it just looks to me that if this was a sales transaction, that means Britain must have got, paid for selling its company to other little companies called Utah, blah, 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 you know, uh, 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 Kansas company, is there a Vermont company, Alaska company, California company. Um, so it's like, again, if this is what King James got, then all of America is being seen as something that Britain owns and sells off. And what are the Indians getting? Well, how are we getting compensated? Descending lower and lower in the depths of the caste system. That's what we American Indians get. And the five civilized tribes doing all the talking for all Indians everywhere. Y'all gonna have to start piping that down. Because Trump done told you what you are, right? Descendants of slaves. So can you know, get your story right? Because your Lord and Savior Trump, he leading you to the Africa. You're gonna have to stop being civilized tribes. Go back to being Algonquin again so we can get our land. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. And I guess we'll deal with this. See, I'm in a way, I feel like I'm looking at a war strategy somehow because North America is being encroached first from below and on top. Then it crunches down, gets smaller, 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 smaller as they taking all. And that's what happened with um well, it was the opposite with the Iroquois in a way because the Iroquois was so small. No way the Iroquois could win without a lot of help from colonizer. But it was a narrative. It was just a narrative because we're hearing all about it. Now, when you look at this map and you realize that this is Powhatan's world, would this be called Turtle Island if Powhatan was in charge of all of this? Where did the turtle come from? It came from the Iroquois, right? Where are the Iroquois in this map? They don't exist? Oh. Am I reading the map wrong? This is what King James got, yo. Where's the Iroquois here? Where's the five civilized tribes here? Oh wow. This looks wait. Okay, so this is similar to the map we just was looking at. So where's the civilized tribes in Virginia? And where is Iroquois in Virginia? They're Algonquin. When you become civilized, you have to take a new name. Sort of like with their religions, when you join their religion, you gotta come a L or a Bay and all of that, or a Muhammad and all of that. Don't change your name because then it's gonna tell a whole other story about who you are. Or change your name carefully. Like I chose Heru because Heru gets his birthright back. That's what I didn't finish telling you, y'all. But yeah, in the story of Heru, he fights his Set, his Satan uncle, and gets his land back. He gets his birthright back. He becomes head of his birthright. Well, he owns his birthright. Okay, it's his again. He gets his land back. That's what Heru did. That's why I chose that name. The way I see it is the energy in that name is what's led me ultimately to right now on this map. Getting your birthright back and then you find out how big your birthright is, right? Well, again, all of America belongs to Americans, American Indians. So, y'all, I think I'm gonna have to close soon because I'm gonna have to get ready for work soon. I think if I didn't have to work, I think I'd be just oohing and eyeing and being shocked and awed all day long with this. But of course, I cannot do it. But happy Friday, I can say. Um, we definitely want to get into this again at some point. Um, I think I made the point about Haru. I think I said enough about that for now, but I kind of went off on a little other thing there, but I just went with it. How many Indians knew this? Uh, did you know this was Virginia? Did you know that all of America, or practically all of North America, is Virginia at the time that the Virginia Company? And why don't they tell us this, y'all? Well, because they're still they still have to divide and conquer. If we all thought that we were all Algonquin and Chief Powhatan, this was his land, that's why we only hear about them dealing with that one man. We don't hear about how they deal with any Iroquois. We just hear that, oh, the Iroquois had a law of peace and we liked it. And then the week or whatever, they didn't even meet that person. Whoever that person is that they uh uh saying created the law of peace. I believe they're not saying they met him like they met Powhatan. You see, they dealt with a real life Algonquin and they had to. Everything else can be fake. When you go in to create a new type of Iroquois Indian, that can be fake. Then the Weka made the law of peace. The most warring confederacy came up with the law of peace. Mm. It's just so a paradox or whatever you call that thing. I had to deal with a paramount chief named Powhatan. Who is that equivalent in the Iroquois Confederacy? Why don't you talk about him since him or her or whatever, because it's a matrilineal? Okay. Did you do any of the same thing you did with Powhatan with them? Did you try to force a crown like you did to Powhatan on his head? Did you do that little ritual where you had to put the crown of England on his head and he resisted? So the story I read said that they literally had to, somebody had to catch him off guard and push him on his shoulders so they could put they had to put England's crown on his head. But when they did it, it was done without him agreeing to it. They had to get that man, y'all. Uh, we were not England, because see, I think another narrative that we're being told by Moors in disguise. They're not saying they're Moors. That's another thing Moors do. Okay, you don't say that you're Moor. Just push our religion, and that's how you know they're Moorish. They will swear that they're not Moors, but they believe in the Moorish religion. Do the math, y'all. Do the math. If you're Judeo-Christian and you're so-called black, you're a Moor. You're a Moor. You're a fucking Moor, okay? You're under a Moorish voodoo spell. I'm not a Moor. I just believe everything that they tell me in their book of spells. Okay, so you're an unrealized Moor. You haven't discovered yourself. You didn't find yourself yet. Okay, give it time. I know who you are, okay? I'm very clear. I'm very clear of what your religion does to families. I know you're a Moor. You're saying you're not, but you're pushing their book of spells, and you know what book I'm talking about. Okay, how about this? You're not yet self-aware of yourself as a Moor, but you're pushing Moor's doctrine to be exact. Which in my world, that you just an unrealized Moor. You think you're not a Moor, and you'll talk against them, but in the back of your mind or in the back of your back of you, your fingers are crossed, and in your mind you're saying, "I'm a good Moor," and I'm talking about the bad Moors. I'm not a bad Moor. I'm a good Moor. If you're self-aware and you're lying again, that's what you're probably saying in your head. You don't say that to us. You just say, "I'm not a Moor," but in your head say, "Yeah, it's just that I'm a good one. I'm a good witch, not a bad one." Um, you know what? As long as I know who you are, I'm good. You can debate it out with yourself. I'm way ahead of you on that one. I know who you are. I know who's informing you. I know where that doctrine came from, and I know where it's going to lead you. I know who you are. I got your card. This is the awakening, baby. Indians know who their enemies are, and Africa is getting that wake up call. Yeah. Again, we want to make sure that we say it's the leaders in all of these countries more than it is the actual, what they would call citizens of the country. The citizens are the last to know, really. It's your leaders that are in those positions for a reason. And the reason is, well, you won't know it, but say somebody in another country knows what your leaders are up to more than you do. That president of the corporation is meeting with your leaders to discuss reparations. Well, that's an example of probably none of us, we quote unquote as people of the land. I'm not going to say I'm a citizen, but the citizens of both continents have no idea what's going on. I'm sure Africans didn't know that they leader was until we found out when it came on the news. I don't. That's how we found out, right? American Indians. We no one came to us, told us nothing. They don't even want to talk about reparations with us. Period. Right? They just want to what they gonna do studies. They like want to do studies on the reparation. Um, how long did the studies last when they were dealing with Nazi Germany? Well, there's a whole lot of studies, or did you kind of know what happened? Let me say this. The reason why they can't have that conversation in America is because they're lying about who we are. So I guess even their little rotten conscience can't fathom giving money to people to the tune of millions of dollars based on a lie, right? So they just put it off. We don't want to think about it right now. That's a lot of money to spend for a lie. God damn it! Can we? Can we do something? You know what? It's let an American Indian make it easier for you. Don't think about the money. Think about the land, and maybe that will help because that is our reparations. In a nutshell, you giving our land back to us. Stay a little longer. Tribute. Tribute. We used to call it tribute. You got to pay your rent. You got to pay for your if we give you a lease, you got to pay for the lease as long as you're here. Since you are stuck in a reparations loop, think bigger. I know you prefer to think smaller, but I'm so sorry. That money conversation got you in a hamster or wheel. We're trying to help you get out of that so you can get unstuck. Because apparently you study and you're still not learning. Let us help you. What did you take from Indians? Look at that map that we're looking at right now. What did you take from Powhatan and the Algonquins? So what do you have to give back in a quote unquote reparation? Look at the map. Look at the map. And if you're in any of that area, and that will apply to Canada and Mexico too. Apparently, I guess those what are those? Well, now it's all United States, but yeah. Except, no, it's actually, no, it's not United. It's our landmass, to just say it that way. This is all our land. And that's just colonizers' version of it. But thank goodness we found out the location of Virginia. All of that got to go back to Canada, Virginia, Mexico, all of it. We want all of what you stole. No thief gets away with just giving back some of what he stole if justice is to be served. But y'all don't know nothing about justice, right? Y'all are in a loop. You're stuck on a hamster wheel because you're stuck in your own lies and deception and aversion to truth. That's the truth you're looking at. That's what has to go back to at least Algonquins. But we're all Algonquins in that area. I believe we was, well, again, the whole North America and South America and the Caribbean is American Indians' property, as you call it. We call it our ancestral land. Go back to your, what you call hemisphere, okay? You gotta let it go, y'all. All you do when you're here is try to kill us. This is not working. That's why it can't work. You don't know how to share. This is the basic problem of the Moor. They don't share, y'all. I don't know how. Now they call us Indian givers, right? But how can we be givers when all you're doing is taking? I'm not giving you anything. I'm not an Indian giver. You're a Negropean stealer. And you're mad because you want to steal forever. That's why you call us Indian givers. You feel like what we have should be yours forever. And we looking at you like you must have lost your damn mind. You better get back to Morocco, yo. You done lost your everlasting mind. You've lost your damn mind. The Moorish mind is a very dark and murky place, just like a Moor, Muck and Maya. It's a nasty place. But none of us American Indians are Moors. Why? Because we were not Judeo-Christian. End of story. To be a Moor, when I'm talking about people of color, so any Caucasians out there, don't go, let's not go there. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about these folks that call themselves black now. Them Scottish and Italians now popping up out of the woodworks saying that they're black. That's a Moor. They're in their Judeo-Christian land, Scotland, Italy, and all that. But the Moors that are coming here, that's how they are dominating us. They're trying to make us Judeo-Christian, but when they got here, they knew that we weren't. And that's why they hated us. They still do. That's why they never stopped genociding us. Even after we became Christian, Judeo-Christian, they are still genociding us, y'all. This is where I want American Indians to wake up, break out of the spell. If you were ever saved, quote unquote, why are they still trying to genocide you? If their savior saved you, why are they still trying to genocide you? Because you're not saved. They know it, y'all. You are adopted, and you know what happens, what tends to happen with the adopted children. First of all, in law, they're always seen as children in need of a guardian. This is not a good look for you, Indians. I'm trying to get y'all to see that you're still being taken out even after you look at the civilized, look at how they treat what they call in the civilized tribes. Now, these are people that adopted the religion, right? Did the treatment get better or worse? Did the injustice lessen or did it increase? Think of the John Marshall Supreme Court cases. Did the injustice lessen or did it increase? After these folks became civilized, meaning they became the biggest Christian cheerleaders you could find. Give me a C, give me an H, jumping and popping and lock, block, popping, whatever, all that, break dancing and all of that in church, break dancing, uh, all of that, pop lock, all of that in church. You just see the demon possession. Well, what did they get, y'all? They got a death wish. Somebody got to talk about it. Because their life as an American Indian in America is to be hell. So, what is the relief? Oh, the biggest salvation you could find after death. That's what you get. You don't get you. So, you are not saved in any way as an American Indian who lost all of that land that we looking at when you were Algonquin. That's why Algonquin is the oldest language, because when the further back you go, we was all speaking it because we was all Algonquin. What did you gain, civilized tribes? Is it time for you to not be civil or come out of hiding? Because them civilized tribes ain't even kinfolk no more. Them is Mongolians, Joe, and Europeans, because they don't dare let uh Negroes up in there, but now they do because we waking up, so they have to. They need to get us to fall into that so they can oppress us overtly. See, the oppression going on now is kind of covert, kind of, but when you get into a civilized tribes, yeah, the oppression is blatant. You get up in a Supreme Court or a federal court or whatever court they done put your ass in and lose again, or get cheated out of the trust that they created for you. Because we did the video on trust. We still have actually one article to read, but I think we got enough. I'll look over that article and maybe I'll just link it and you can read it on your own, the whole, all three of them from Peter Dorico. Thank you, Peter Dorico. Thank you so much. I'm trying to tell your Indians, you're not getting anything but death, ritualistic death, actual genocide. You did for all your civil becoming civilized, you lost basically everything. I'm surprised you got their dignity because really you gave up so much for colonizer to be civilized. And what did you get? He's treating you like property. Becoming civilized means you become his property. Do you see that? Do you see why they hate Algonquins and they don't talk about Algonquins? They only talk about Iroquois, Cherokee, and the first thing they name is the five civilized tribes and all because they're only dealing with them because they can abuse them. But the real Cherokee, the real Iroquois, five civilized tribes, they're hiding somewhere. They're pushing the agenda that we're black. That's what their job is. But I'm just saying, for the Negroes that's returning to now as slaves of the Native Americans, and they're happy about that. They're so happy. Oh my gosh. I feel so, at the end of the day, I feel really bad for those people because I think they're going to get treated worse. I find that it's like the higher you go, the higher up you go in colonizers' system, if you're American Indian, it's almost like it's not going up, it's actually going further down. Yeah. Yeah, for you to elevate and colonize a system, you have to be going down. And he's gonna make it look, he's gonna tell you, "Ooh, look, you going up, moving up, 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 higher, higher, higher." And but it's all a psyop, and he got the walls moving, but you're actually going down. For the more you get become what he wants you to be, you get treated worse. As a civilized tribe, those civilized tribes are getting treated like crap. And then when the Negroes join, because now they're accepting you, you're going to be at the bottom of their caste system. You're going to be at the bottom of a caste system within a caste system. You're not going to be treated well. I can almost guarantee that. Maybe it'll start off nice. That's how it is. When whoever whoever came to the Roanoke, the first colonist was very it worked out very good. By the last, the Wyapemeyak Indians were basically having to leave their land. But it started out real good. We didn't even again we had a gentleman's agreement with the English, my Indians. But by the time they keep sending new colonies, I think what the mission of these colonies is to break trust between the Wyapemeyak and the new colony. Now, the old colonists we got along with, but they changed the regime. They send new English with a mission, new Moors. Why are we calling them Moors? If it's a Negro and it's from Europe, it's a Moor. If it's a Negro and it's from Africa, it's a Moor. Even the other Asian country, if it's a Negro and it's in another country outside of the Americas, it's a Moor. Because they're seen as the civilized. They're seen as already being of the Judeo-Christian, right? So all these colonists that were black were Moors. And the logic is all American Indians were heathen. That's what's the big difference between a Moor and an American. An American don't know nothing about this Judeo-Christian stuff until they get their heads filled with it and they're saturated with it. Starting in prison, when they get the Islamic one, because those men are at their, at their lowest point, and then that's how Islam grabs them. And so they become more fervent because they were at their lowest point. So the lower you are, the more energy you're going to have to take on these Judeo-Christian, particularly Islamic religion. And you're going to be indoctrinated to hate the white man because that's why you're in jail. Because the more had the white man put you in jail with his commercial laws. And so now you think it's the white man that got you in jail and all of this, and blah, blah, he got. That's all. It's all. We're all in a Moorish setup. Yeah, that's how they do. That's how they treat people who they see as heathen. But then when you join them, they're going to teach you to hate. Uh, Basically, not just the white man, but I mean, technically, they not. They don't want to be bothered with you if you're not. It's they. Okay. You're going to hate the quote unquote white man based in America's version of Islam. Uh, but you can sort of, what you got to do with the American Negro is be nice to him in order to get him to convert. So you don't accept him as he is, but you will cater to him so that even in his mind, even a American Indian who's not a Moorish Muslim, he's going to think you guys got it all together. So in his mind, you're going to be in his good graces, which is good enough. So you can kind of use the unconverted male, because you know he's gonna think that, oh, that brother's doing some good things in the community. Oh, he just trying to help. Oh, he just such a man of God. Oh. But when you read the book of Yakub, a man that they knew of, a man they could have took out if they knew what his mission was, and they did know what his mission was because the book of Yakub said they prophesied him coming. They knew he was coming like centuries before he got there. So they could have did what they had they folks doing in the Bible, just hunt him down. Like they was hunting down your Jesus. Just hunt him down and kill all. Like, did you do anything to try to stop him? You didn't say so in your book. So you would hunt down somebody if they was coming for Jesus. But when you got a white man that you created coming to genocide 97% of American Negroes, you don't send out what do you call it? What do they call it? Some kind of collective to hunt this man down. No, you was busy putting them together in the laboratory. You didn't. All you had to do was get the hell out the laboratory, and this wouldn't happen. So you prophesied him coming, and you knew he was coming, but you didn't send a word out. You didn't do all you could to prepare us. We have to become Islamic for you to tell us what's going to happen. So that means you are still basically genociding the American Indians who don't know this story of Yakub. So once I join you, see, so there you have it right there, y'all. Well, what am I doing all this talking? There's the motive. There's the rest of the story, which is the only way you're gonna really hear about Yakub is if you get with us. But luckily, since we sending him for 97% of you to bring you to your doom, even if it would be in our interest for you not to know about him, because most of y'all gonna be out of here. We just want a few good American Indians to convert to make him a foreign and say he's got to go to Mecca and all of that. So it's just that sometimes when people are in a sort of a cult, they can't. It's those films where they show you how hard it is to get your family out of the cult because they're given a version of it that's they really gravitate to. So it's like they turned on the family, and the family just wants trying to help them to, you know, not be taken advantage of. It's the same thing here. Now, we don't advocate violence. We just need to know, look at that map and realize that a Judeo-Christian Moor, a man, took that from you. And so you can get an idea that this is why we talk in this way. But at the same time, we are advocating the lawfulness of our sovereignty. Okay, so it's not about inspiring violence. It's about getting these people that claim to be civil. They're the ones that said they were civil and we were heathen. So we got to get you to actually be civil and give us our land back. That will complete and attest to you being civilized. Okay. So on that note, I think I'm going to leave this so I can basically get a little bit of a downtime before getting ready for work. I know this thing will probably like in other words, I'll stop this video and go to upload it, and hopefully YouTube will stop, stalling my videos from being uploaded. Because I'm telling you, who out there does videos? How long does it take for your video to upload? If it's more than like an hour and going into 2 or 3, yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal. I mean, when I first started doing videos, it never took as long as it takes lately. So yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying that to say you might not even see this video depending on how long it takes to upload. But I'm sorry for the big space there when I was trying to pull up this map. But we did it finally. I didn't want it to take that long, y'all. But that's how it worked out. But that was basically, my initial reaction. And I hope this video finds you well. Um, it's not that I'm trying to be offensive. I'm very, very motivated and passionate to get American Indians to stop thinking that they have to go by their colonizers' rules. You are a ruler. As a sovereign, you are a ruler. You have to start becoming like that's why I really when I was trying to get the tribe that I was affiliated with to watch Anna how she moves, Anna Von Reitz, it was because I was hoping that we would understand the authority necessary. Because when I tell you this lady, no, she's not an American Indian, but she knows how to stand in an authoritative position where that's the one thing I see lacking among American Indians. We really take their legal system too seriously. I say that because it's not supposed to apply to us. Now, they could take it seriously if they want, and they should. They should take it seriously enough to know that we're not in their system if they read the Constitution correctly at Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. But they're not trying to do that. But one thing I want to say before we get out of here soon is that another revelation that I'm having is that really we're not dealing with the Constitution. Ultimately, American Indians are dealing with the doctrine of discovery. That is the document that this corporation, that's their go-to document. So that's really where our shall we say, legal battle begins, because we're doing this peacefully. Our legal battle has nothing to do with the United States, but a lot more to do with the doctrine of discovery. Thank the ancestors. That Pope Francis. It's taken me time to see how important that repudiation papal bull is. It really dismantles domination by colonizers all over the world. So, American Indians, as I leave you today until next time, those of you who really want your land back, and you're not being misguided by civilized tribes, 501(c)(3)s who have to do the bidding of the corporation. They have to. The corporation is giving them what I don't know. I see I don't know what the underground Negro African Indians are getting to stay subservient. But it must be something that they think is good, and that's usually colonizer monopoly dollars. That's usually what does it. They're getting some kind of money. I think if not money, they're getting to live in the most priciest of Algonquin land, and they're not, yeah. But look at this map, and you realize it's really Algonquins against Algonquins. My God. See, this thing got to sink in. It's gonna take some time, y'all. I got to adjust. I got to adjust to this. Thank you, though, ancestors. A big thank you. And I hope my fellow American Indians are thanking the ancestors too, because you know you got to. You got to when they give something like this. Wow. But so our legal battle, what we have to, just like the corporation did, we got to go straight to the doctrine of discovery. And that will release us from the corporation's corporate uh laws. I mean, we're not supposed to be in them. That's even said in the Constitution. But the Pope that repudiated the doctrine of discovery, he said the church has been doing this since the 1500s. He said we said something like to y'all back then. But Pope, just like you did with this one, you really didn't get the message out. You should have told the corporation this, because the corporation is like, we don't know nothing about this. They acting like they don't. It would have been nice if the Pope spoke to the corporation directly. But the Pope did this. He gave it well, actually, it wasn't even the misclassified Indians, but it certainly applies to us, especially when we got Verrazano coming to the Roanoke and describing people that look Ethiopian. And we saw what Ethiopians look like in what was it, the video before this one? No, it was the video before the last video. Um, so yeah, that was the video, colored but not African. So yeah, just to put the bee in your bonnet or whatever, American Indians, we have to start calling the repudiation of the papal bull, because that's what they are using against us. They're using the doctrine of discovery to do all of this. But now that the doctrine of discovery has been repudiated, all of the things that relied on it do not apply. And that means American Indians have to take their land back. And we have to initiate it. We have to use that doctrine of discovery. We have to let all military people know. We have to let all agencies know. This is legal what we're doing. When we start asking any squatters to start compensating us for being on our land. And then they're going to get mad and say, why are you coming to us? And we're going to have to say to them, well, you got to write your Congress people and tell them why the Indians come to us. Can you please start, doing what you're supposed to do so they stop coming to us, whatever, you know? But anyway, it's just, just some ideas tossed now. We always act in peace, peacefully. Um, but we have every standing to begin to, okay, I like to talk in terms of credit, because colonizer dollars, they control those. That's why I would suggest that American Indians start thinking credit, an open-ended credit, meaning we're going to bypass colonizer dollars. All goods and services are free to American Indians by those who are on our land. You're not compensating us with colonizer dollars, because they really don't do anything but empower colonizer. Those dollars go right back to colonizer and make him, you know, more his version of wealth, because basically he's still depending on our land. So we know it's not the money that's really the wealth, because the colonizer wouldn't have to be here if it was just money. The colonizer would leave and we just be sending him these colonizer dollars. But colonizer has to be here on our landmass. See, that's the difference between colonization of America and colonization of a place like Africa. Colonizers don't want to live in Africa. And the Africans are fine with that, because they're getting some kind of deal. but they get to actually be in their seats of power. But how you know that your land is valuable is when colonizers says, you know what, I'm packing up and I actually want to live among the people that I'm stealing from, which is crazy. But that means your land is so valuable that he will risk living amongst you. You know, they got to keep the psyop, of course, but he's willing to up, because in other words, the home that I come from, baby, this is better. What colonizer would want to live in a shithole country? You know, and why are you making your country a shithole country? See, I think it's all political. I think it's political. But it could be a curse. And I don't usually talk in those terms, but there's something, there is something going on in Africa. And I think it's kind of outside of natural because, and I can speak like this because so often American Indians have been seen as condemned, right? But the interesting thing about our condemnation by the Moors and their Judeo-Christian religion, the interesting thing is that our land is not. So that kind of tells you if your land is not quote unquote cursed, that means the people are not quote unquote cursed. But there's something going on in Africa, y'all. And I'm saying this out of concern. I don't think it's the people. I think it's the leaders. I think they keep the people in poverty. I think it's a political move. I think it's a way to grab sympathy. So then you become more loved, and particularly by Europeans, because Europeans, they have this thing where they want to save, you know. Now, I'm not talking about their colonizer ruling class or their monarchs. I'm talking about the people. They have like, because they're reared up by basically the church, they kind of have a savior complex. And I'm not saying this as a diss. I'm just saying it is what it is. You see it. You see it. Now in America, somehow the system is it discourages this instinct that I see in significantly among Caucasians. They want, a lot of times they want to help a situation. You know, you see it a lot with how they want to help animals and stuff, you know. Now in Africa, you know, it they want to help the animals there too, but then they see the people, and then oh my God, I gotta help. So the political part of that is that while American Indians get condemned because we're seen as too excessive, you got too much. You got too much freedom, which is a joke because we don't have any freedom. Actually, Africans have more freedom, I believe, than we do. Somehow, because it's something about land ownership in Africa that's non-existent in America. I've seen people, their land might not be much and their house might not be that much, but it is theirs. They're not paying to live there. They're not paying, they're not paying rent in Africa. Okay. Again, it might not be the Taj Mahal, but it is theirs. And maybe that's why their government has to make them impoverished in a different way. Because technically, if they have land that is theirs, so I think Africa's poverty is political, although it might have some supernatural, uh, implications. Something with the land. I don't know. I don't know because, and the reason why I don't know, and I think a lot of us don't know, because there's just something manufactured about Africa's situation, yet there's something real about Africa's situation. And the leaders know how to manipulate the two. But again, how it shows up on the world stage is you greedy, selfish Americans who take for granted, unthankful, and look at us struggling. But we take our struggle happily. You over there, you complain and you got everything. So somehow that's the interplay. American Indians are seen somehow as lazy, by Africa in general, not all around, but they really don't. They have low opinions of us. I don't think they realize that unlike them, we actually have foreigners running our land. They have their leaders, right? That look like them. So, and they don't even give us that much credit a lot of times. They just go straight to, oh, they think we're lazy and we don't have culture, which is absolutely nuts. We, I just put you this way. Somehow we managed to have more culture, I think, than even Africa. Mm. A poverty look it doesn't necessarily mean culture, okay? And a look of extravagance doesn't necessarily mean lack of culture. So there's something going on with Africa, and I don't know if we'll ever figure it out, but I do know that that's where our priesthood ended up. And they ended up there because they were banished from here. The priesthood, what I do know about them is that they need people they can dominate. And so Africa's look might be a result of the priesthood's need to dominate with a narrative of religion. So then they can always say your poverty is because you're not cool with God. So the people will always, either it depends. Sometimes you can say, "Oh, poverty means you're closer to God." Unlike them American Indians, they're so what do you call it? We might be seen as too oriented toward things. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's too early in the morning. So we're too like what's the word when you all about things? Materialistic. All those American Indians are too materialistic. God don't like them. They heathen. We had to go over there and show them some religion. Yeah. And look how you approach us with your religion though. And then you call us savage. So it depends on how the priesthood is working it. Either your poverty could be seen that that's what makes you so closer to God, And maybe that's what it is. And they have to condemn American Indians based on they can't say it's our poverty, is what I'm trying to say. They can't say it's because you're poor, your poverty, that's why you're poor, because you're sick, what do you call it? Yeah, because you're not right with God. So then they have to say, well, your wealth that's shows that you're not part of God. So that's how they do it, y'all. That's how they do it. If you're too wealthy, you're not godly. And if you're poor, you are godly, and basically more godly. But you still have to work to be better, and then God will bless you with a little bit, not as much as some Americans, but you know, something. It's just because it's a lot of manipulation going on. It's a little hard to figure out the truth, the real truth. But I do know again that once the priesthood were out of the Americas, and I told you that happened around the 18th dynasty, that would have been Akhenaten and his dynasties that were kicked out of here. And then Akhenaten becomes the only pharaoh that we know by face. You got to look at that, people. You got to understand that. Akhenaten was seen as a heretic by Americans. So in turn, the priesthood call us like we're heathen heretical. But we saw them, what they were bringing, and starting to change up the religion. We thought that was heretical. And it was for us. It really actually was. That's why Akhenaten got kicked out. So the priesthood is now ruling everything outside of the Americas. And so America has to get a bad rap, but the priests need America's wealth. So there's a conundrum. How do you condemn a people that are apparently doing pretty good? Oh, then you say they're too excessive. And you poor people are much better than they are because God really likes your poverty. But yet when you get blessed with wealth like the priests, right? So what gives here? And that's why the priests they could never leave America because they require luxury. After all is said and done, they're the ones that require luxury, and they will leave you in poverty. You live in America, a wealthy country, but our people are like struggling because that's a result of a priesthood that has to have it all. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm going to close this now and we shall resume. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, be and stay highly Algonquin.